Welcome to the Oleg Experience Real Estate Podcast. For those who doesn't know me, my name is Oleg. I am realtor with 20 years of experience on the East Side, and I'm excited to start this podcast because a lot of buzz happening around Seattle right now, and big news and small news. And this podcast is going to be all about business, about real estate, the mortgage industry, about different industries as well. To cover those news, especially for my friends, for my family, for people who know me, and for those guys who doesn't know me as well. And I will invite different people, different guests to my show, and we will cover different topics, different subjects. And today we will talk about money, and my guest speaker is Teras with CrossCountry Mortgage. Welcome, Teras, to the show.
It's a pleasure, Oleg.
I know you just back from Carolina.
North Carolina, yeah.
North Carolina.
And South Carolina, yeah.
So you fly there, so you have a flight trip in airplane. You guys are wearing masks in airplane?
It was interesting because when I flew out there, I had one layover flight, right? And everyone was in masks. And I was surprised to see how they required everyone to have their mask on the entire flight there. On both layover trips, which was kind of interesting, which was surprising to me because it's kind of because you had to have a mask on for like 5 to 8 hours. Very uncomfortable, very bad. I took mine off for a little bit of the time, you know what I mean? But that's just how they have it set up. And then when we flew in, surprisingly on the south, some people wore masks, but a lot of people didn't. A lot of southern hospitality. People there are a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more lenient. The flow of life, I want to say, in North and South Carolina was a lot slower than it was here. So I went to Charlotte. I visited Charlotte, and then I went south of Charlotte. I looked at Waxhaw, that's on north, and I crossed the border to South Carolina. I saw Rock Hill, and then I drove an hour and 15 minutes to Greenville. And it was beautiful out there. You know, it says, what's surprising is Charlotte's the same size of Seattle.
Really?
Yeah, it's huge, but no tents, no homeless. The roads were very clean, surprisingly. Like I know here you'll see like crap on the ground, gum on the streets.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Like you're from Seattle, you're a Seattle citizen, and you came to a different city. Like this is COVID right now, nobody flies, nobody go anywhere, and you went to this city. And what's shocking you like first? Like
I was surprised. I was very surprised. Okay. I knew it was going to be cleaner there. But I did not realize that a city can be that much cleaner.
Interesting.
Because like even here, I had a family that flew in here from California before, families on my wife's side, and they're like, "Hey, let me go visit Seattle," and we're like, "Oh no, let's not go to Seattle," and we still went, and it was honestly kind of embarrassing.
Okay.
There's homeless everywhere. It's nasty. Like you see crap on the ground. It wasn't good. But out there, very clean, which was surprising. And Greenville, same thing. Greenville, so an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half away from Charlotte, South Carolina. Okay. It's kind of like this. Imagine Bellevue downtown.
Yeah.
Imagine Kirkland, or maybe even the newer part of Issaquah, all mashed into one. So Greenville is huge. Okay. It's big. It's a lot bigger than Bellevue. But it's kind of like a couple of our nicer cities put together. It was gorgeous. It's gorgeous out there. And it was southern hospitality too. So it's not like you're going to have people that walk by and like people walk by and they're going to say, "How are you? How are you doing?"
Really?
It's a pleasure to see you. And I'm just like, you know what? It's a pleasure to see you too. You know?
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
It's very interesting experience you guys have there because we wasn't like traveling for a long time like anywhere else right now. So and we stuck here because of COVID. Things happening, and when you start traveling and you get used to those tents, to like craziness what's happening right now in Seattle,
the news,
and it's all around Seattle pretty much, like all America actually. Look in Seattle right now, in Portland, in California, what's happening there.
A lot of people are moving California.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan left California recently. We had a couple of very big YouTubers that left California. I think Joe Rogan went to Texas. Texas would be fun to go visit. Yeah, he went out there.
Yeah, when you visit Carolina was different experience than Seattle.
Very different. But you know what's crazy in Carolina? In Carolina, now you know a lot about real estate, right? You being a realtor. Yeah. I'm in finance. I do home loans. So out there, you can buy a brand new construction house. And let's say you didn't want the fancy amenities in the home, right? You didn't want the nice granite countertops, none of that. Just basic brand new construction home. Let's say 1,800 to 2,000 square feet. You can buy that for $200,000.
No way. No, no, no.
200 grand.
It's like
brand new construction.
No way. So
Like from
it's
scratch.
just like what's the difference? Like policy is different there. Like cost of lands is different there. Like lower than Seattle area.
There's a lot of things different. I think out there, the land itself. For example, here, if I wanted to build a house, right, I'd have to wait for permits for 6 months.
Yeah.
Constant inspections. Out there, it's same day, 2 hours.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah,
2 hours. And builders there have more opportunity. So if you're looking to build a lot of real estate out there, you can buy 20 acres of land and you can subdivide it for half acre for one home.
Interesting.
And you can buy 20 acres for 150 grand.
Yeah, Matthew Garden from Windermere, he is like preaching to build a property for builders. It costs about 25% for regulations. They have to pay for those permits and like waiting for a long time. Like sometimes like for 1 year even to get permits. And even like we have so big demand for housing, it's crazy. And like on this side, for example, we have like 0.6 months of inventory, multiple offer situations every house. People have a bidding war and fight for the house. And still same regulations. City councilors doesn't do really much about it. Hopefully our like policy going to be changed in the near future.
Well, for good news, right? Good news. Why Seattle is I want to say east side, just Washington State, right? On this side of the mountains. Why it's so nice here. The difference is out there, when you see ground, soil, when you see soil, what color is soil? Brown, right? Dirt, it's brown. Out there, it's all red.
Oh, interesting.
Which means it's clay. So for those of you that know a little bit about just, let's say, earth, right? When you have red clay as your base ground, what does that mean? When it rains, it floods. So they're having a huge, Carolinas have a huge flooding problem. Anywhere you go, you're going to see small signs saying, do not cross flowing river, or it's going to pull your car out. We're driving 60 miles an hour, and as you know, in the Carolinas, sometimes they have what's called hurricanes, right? But that's closer to the ocean. When you hear a hurricane in Carolina, specifically on closer to South Carolina, North Carolina, that border, you know you're going to have heavy rains. Now, from Seattle, we experience a lot of rain, right? The heavy rain that you see out there, it's like showers. We're going 60 miles an hour and we had to stop completely. And then we had to slow. We went 20 miles an hour on an SUV because we couldn't see the road. And the water sits completely.
Interesting.
So it's definitely different out there. If you decide to buy land or a house, you have to buy on top of a hill. And you want to pray that you have a very good pump system to get rid of water. Because there's a lot of floods there. And that water literally sits. Like it'll sit 2-3 feet.
Interesting.
Easy.
But let's switch a little bit subject we'll talk about money a little bit. I know like you in mortgage industry and you're a young person, you're very successful lender as well. So you're making over 6 figures. But tell me like about money, like what do you think is going to be happening in the near future? And because right now people like afraid, government try to make higher inflations, but it's people stop spending with COVID-19. They just
savings went up by a drastic
so
percentage.
and I mean, how does this reflect like, your industry and what do you think about money?
Well, this is what I can tell you. My industry right now, everyone and their mom is currently refinancing. Right? We have every one of my past clients, almost everyone is currently refinancing right now. Why? Because rates are crazy low. Our rates are under 3%, right? So you'll have some families that are going to get 2.5%, some are going to get 2.75%. On a 15-year, you can be at 2% or less. So rates means the cost of borrowing money is cheap, right?
Yeah.
Which seems like a good thing. But on the flip side, why? Right? So the U.S. right now, you have the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury. Their solution today, Oleg, with what's going on in the markets, with the crash that we currently saw in the stock and bond market, they're like, we're going to create a strategy that they've used for centuries, for decades. It's called monetative easing. It's a fancy word. It's a fancy way of saying we're going to print more money that then we can spend, and we're going to flood the stock and bond market.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I said. Seeing Alaska Airlines stock growing, personally, my opinion, is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Why would Alaska stock grow when nobody's flying?
Exactly. Nobody's flying
It's ridiculous. So what's happening is you're having these multi-billionaires borrow a lot of money right now, inflating their own stock. You're having the U.S. government printing all this money, inflating the markets. You go to debtclock.org, right? It's live. You can see, I think we're at 27 trillion. I mean, we have a lot of debt right now.
Yeah.
It's a crazy amount of debt. This is not sustainable. Period. In Europe, there's countries in Europe that went through the same cycle, and everyone's printing money. Everyone's printing. Russia's printing money. China is printing money with their yen. But the U.S. is just beating everybody by such an ecstatic level. It's insane. So personally, me being a lender, a lot of people are like, oh, Terrace, I'm shocked you're saying this. I don't believe in the dollar. When I look at the dollar bill, because what's the value? Look at the dollar.
Okay.
What is the dollar? The dollar is a IOU. It's a promissory note.
Yeah.
But there's nothing behind it. So Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard in 1971, right? And he had to. We had after World War II, we had a lot of issues and problems. We had to inflate the markets. But that was a short-term plan. Because what happened was after World War I, the U.S. dollar was the main currency in the world.
Yeah.
The whole world. So a lot of people they would have gold and silver, which was backed by the dollar. Then you had all of these other currencies, the yen, the pound, all the other currencies that were backed by the dollar. Well, then you had a lot of countries that called the U.S. out. And they're like, you know what, United States, we don't think you have as much gold as the money that you're printing. And you say you do. So then you had Europe. You had a lot of countries say, you know what, we're going to send you millions of dollars, U.S. dollars, and we want our gold back because it was tangible. So what happened was that in a short span of time, the U.S. started losing a lot of gold, just thousands and thousands of pounds. So then they're like, okay, we have to stop this. And then Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. That way, when other countries were sending their dollar bills asking for gold, we didn't have to give it back to them, which started a whole printing cycle in the world. That's very interesting. The dollar is not really, it's an IOU. It's not worth anything. It's a piece of paper that says, hey, it's only worth what the current marketplace says it does. It's not like real estate. That's why I love real estate. I love gold. You know me. I love gold. Yeah. I love silver. I love real items because like a piece of gold or a piece of silver.
I have a question. Do you still buy in silver?
Gold and silver. I like gold and silver. This is the thing. It's not just a currency. Mm-hmm. I don't look at it as an investment. If somebody said, hey, I'm buying gold and silver as an investment, you look at history. I think like
real estate it's more investment because
correct.
When you purchase property with lower than 3% interest rate,
so it's free money.
You like leverage pretty much, So
but with gold and silver, I see it as a way of security.
Okay.
So when something does happen, I can take a piece of gold or a piece of silver and go to Canada. Or I can go to Mexico and go get pesos. It's a world-renowned currency. So that's kind of how I see kind of like as a security of wealth.
Interesting.
Just like a lot of families save on their 401k. What happened when the market crashed? What happened to their 401k?
So what do you think is going to be happen next maybe 6 months or 1 year from now? So what do you guys expect in the mortgage industry and with the money and like?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. If I can tell you what happened, if I had a crystal ball like the one you have back there, and I can tell you what, I'd be a very wealthy man. Honestly, no. If somebody tells you flat out this is what's going to happen, they're going to lie to you, right? Yeah. With the elections going on today, we have Trump, and then we have Biden. With the amount of controversy, what I don't like, Oleg, is seeing the country divided.
Yeah,
I hate that. That's bad. That's bad for business.
Nobody likes that. Yeah.
That's bad for investors. That's bad for the U.S. It's bad for the economy. It's bad for everybody.
Yeah.
To see a country divided is horrible to see. Honestly, it's sad to see people rioting and tearing down businesses. For me, it breaks my heart. Because you have people that have been building businesses for 15, 20 years that are now being robbed.
Yeah.
You have the U.S. printing a ton of money. And that's all they know what to. It's like a high, right? That's all they know what to do. Plus, you have all these politicians, and they want to be better than the next.
Yeah.
But how do you become better unless you're investing billions of dollars into a country or billions of dollars into a state? Versus saying, you know what, I'm just going to sustain what we have going on and try to solve the problem. The next politician is going to want to be greater or better than the previous one. But how are you going to do that without billions of dollars?
Yeah.
You can't. So we're seeing a lot of division. We're seeing a lot of interesting things happening in the marketplace, especially the bond market. Looking at the treasury, the bonds, it's very concerning. What's going to happen in 6 to 8 months? I don't know. But what I do know is right now it's the time for Americans. It's right for Washingtonians to save some money, be conservative. Right now is the time to take a step back, analyze your finances. Do not take high risk. Like, think about this. Let's talk about Warren Buffett, billionaire. why did he buy $500 million of a gold mining stock? And Warren Buffett, if you look at his history, right?
Yeah.
All he did is he talked crap about gold. His dad loved gold. But he always said gold is stupid, gold is bad, gold is something that you take and you store away and it's never used. But he bought $500 million worth of gold. Why is that? You have Ray Dalio too.
He probably believes in this right now. Maybe he believes in his
because gold.
That's belief, right?
Gold is a security, right? Gold is a security. It's against inflation, right? It's a hedge against inflation. Then you also need to take a step back and look at Ray Dalio. For those of you who don't know who Ray Dalio is, he's also a billionaire. He's a financial guru. Tony Robbins talks a lot about Ray Dalio. He wrote, I want to say 2 books off of Ray Dalio's strategy. You look at Ray Dalio's whole portfolio right now, over 20% of his portfolio is in gold and silver, whether it's physical, businesses, tangible. Why? Why are these billionaires? And by the way, he sold a lot of bank stock at a loss. He sold airline stock at billions of dollars at loss. And then he bought gold mining companies.
Interesting. So, yeah, I'm afraid like after our podcast, like tomorrow will be all gold gone in Seattle. Everybody just like jump in and buy.
Well, what can I say?
It's very interesting. But what I believe right now myself is real estate. It's tangible investment.
Exactly.
So when you invest in real estate, you actually can touch it your door, touch it your property.
Yeah.
And
it's real wealth, right?
Yeah.
You're able to build that. That's how you got so successful. You bought homes, you flipped homes, you flipped a lot of homes in the past, and you've built your wealth off of owning multiple properties.
But what's interesting, easily enough, was last updates we receiving like in Windermere about like what's happening with the market. As last update, they cover climate change, and climate change have a huge impact in America. And like with climate change, we're gonna have climate migration, which is interesting too. So what I remember, like from this podcast, I was listening to this New York Times podcast. I can show you below this show, and you guys can listen as well if you like it. But what they're talking about, like a lot of people moving from California because of those wildfires, Mississippi, very uncomfortable climate in Florida right now as well. So, and people are gonna be moved to more safer locations. And I think like in our states in Pacific Northwest, we're fortunate to live here because we have a big migration and different people coming to here. And real estate will always have a value because it's tangible investments. It's a great to invest in real estate in Pacific Northwest.
100%. Well, look, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on? I know there's a lawsuit right now going on in Seattle. Governor Inslee and Seattle is being sued right now because if somebody doesn't make their rent payment today, right, in Washington State as an investor, this is a big deal. Right?
Yeah.
You cannot kick them out.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion?
This is like eviction moratorium what they did, and this is kind of bad news for investors, especially who hurts the most right now is that not a small moms and shops investors, but biggest one who have like big apartment complexes, and especially in commercial. Yeah, that's why like what's happening in Seattle commercial real estate. I just read topics a couple days ago. We have 18% vacancy in Seattle commercial real estate, and especially in South Lake Union. And what's happening is there like people afraid who owns these properties, like is that going to be permanent like this, or this is just temporary? So this is only questions if that's going to be like for a while or not. So but looks like for a while. And what government doing right now for Seattle, it's not good. It's definitely not good. But my opinion, we have to have a better policy about that, and we have to protect our businesses. We have to help our businesses to operate. Like what's happening right now, it's just crazy. Nobody like craziness. So everybody like to have normal life, and they like to
fair policies,
fair rules
and regulations.
Have to have a safe cities without boarded up windows and without homeless people on the street, and this policy has to be changed for sure.
So that's I think what was interesting for me to see is the debate that happened with our governor, right, and then the other candidates.
What do you think about it? Yeah, did you watch it?
Yeah, of course. I think everyone in the Pacific Northwest, heck, in the state of Washington, some people even around the country watched that debate. What I can tell you is this: having somebody that supports the police. You know me. I support veterans, love military, love our police officers. They're out really serving their lives.
Yeah.
They're serving each and every one of us, protecting us. Yeah, I'm not for the whole defund the police crap. Not for that. That's all BS. I think, if anything, we should be adding more money into the police stations just to give them better security, better education, better training. If you're going to defund the police, you're removing training. That's even worse. That's going to make it harder for everybody, right? So my opinion, my thought, it would be nice. I'm definitely excited and hoping we're going to have a new governor. You know my opinion on this, Oleg. So just to have somebody like the other candidate that has experience in business, that understands how the average family lives in Washington State, understands business owners. I run a business, you run a business, a lot of families run business. And what shocked me was Inslee's response when the topic of Boeing got brought up. He pushed Boeing out of Washington State.
Yeah.
That's thousands of jobs.
Yeah.
Thousands of jobs. I have family that works at Boeing. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. His policies, seeing what he's doing right now. Now, I'm a millennial, right?
Yeah.
I'm in my mid to late 20s. I'm a millennial. So for me, that is bad. As a millennial, I strongly believe that we need a governor that supports businesses, that supports real estate, that supports families in regards to helping us grow versus suppressing and pushing big billion-dollar companies out of Seattle. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I get fired up about this kind of stuff just because I'm born and raised here. I'm going to live here for the rest of my life, or so I believe so. And I only want to see Washington State prosper. I don't want to see a governor that knows nothing about business pushing businesses out of Washington State. That's bad for real estate. That's bad for everyone. That's bad for community.
Yeah, I hope it's going to be changed, and we're going to be wrap up on this. And thank you so much, Teres. Hey, it was a very interesting opinion, and thank you so much, Teres, for coming today to our podcast. And hope we'll see you in the future.
Yes, we will.
And thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I'm your host, Oleg, with the Oleg Experience, and till next time.
Thank you, Oleg.